Hey, everybody. My name is Octaves Dragonfly. I'm a music dude with a beard. I'm many other dudes with a beard, but today I'm a music dude with a beard. So, basically, this video is meant to prepare the viewer so that you know exactly what you may expect from this series. So, what I would like to kind of cover in this series, and things may change here or there depending on feedback and other comments that I might receive. But basically, what I'd like to do is give you an opportunity to start creating music. And that means whether you've dabbled in the past or you did some music, experimental type things in your youth, and now are trying to get back into it, or you're completely new at all. First of all, I'd like to just give a chance for you to understand, why that I might be someone that you may want to listen to, because you may not, and that's totally your choice. So, first of all, just to give some bona fides, not that I'm tooting my own horn or anything, but just to give you an idea. I'm in my 40s now. I started with music, while listening, obviously, just like many of us do, at a very young age. And that kind of formulated various influences that I received. So, on my father's side, there was a lot of folk music, country, and western, not what people consider country today, but also like that classic country and western Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash style, right? Um, he also listened to a lot of bluegrass and classical rock slash hard rock that were blues based, such as Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, and then all of that kind of genre. On my mother's side, she influenced me with things on the folk rock scale, such as Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez, a lot of that California sound, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, etc. So I had a lot of an upbringing from that perspective, and then as I got into grade school and things, this was the early '80s, and so on the radio was a lot of pop '80s, new wave music. But also a lot of the '70s classical rock, as what we refer to today. So there's a good blend of that. I grew up with 8 tracks and LP albums that were vinylite. Um, and in probably when I was like kindergarten or perhaps first grade, we as a family had purchased our own cassette. And these were the old stereo systems that had like a turntable on the top that played your 33, 45, and 72s. And then it had like this wood grain finish around it. And there was like knobs and buttons and things. And it was like a little silver chrome panel. And inside the panel, there would be a tape deck or maybe 2 tape decks if you wanted to dub at that time. And and then your radio frequency tuner. So you had AM band, FM band, and shortwave pretty much at that time. A lot of the vehicles that I rode in as a small child were equipped with AM radio or perhaps AM and FM radio. Um, Very few had cassettes. Most of them that were kind of like advanced at the time were 8 track cassettes, not the typical cassettes that were more prominent towards the late 80s and early 90s before the compact disc came out. So I've been through quite a different formats and styles of music. Uh, so I don't consider that I am an expert by any means at any certain genre or instrument, etc., or nor that my mind is closed to any sort of experimental thing or giving things a listen, see how that resonates a feeling inside of me, and then I can make a determination there. When I was very young, I started. So, so my father, my uncle, they uh, played guitar. My grandfather played keys and a little bit of guitar and things like that. There was always kind of live music happening. There was always creative elements of writing a song, sitting down, or simply just screwing around and having fun. And a lot of the stories that I learned as a child um, were given mixture of a verbal exchange or hey, so and so went down here and then da 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 da. But they were also brought to me in prose and like song, right? So I remember as a small child growing up in like as far back as I can remember, 3, 4, 5 years old, hanging out with my dad and my dad's brother, my uncle, playing guitar, sitting around. And I actually got my own guitar probably at age maybe 4-ish or so. One of the little kids' guitars and stuff. I'm sure that I might have a photo or some of those that might have a photo of that. But I enjoyed music and I always got excited listening to new things. And the early 80s was a time where there's a lot of synthesizer being introduced. And that kind of was something that I really liked, you know what I mean? And like certain drum tracks and things like that, I resonated towards, right? So this was a time where, when I was in kindergarten or first grade, this is the Atari generation of Pac-Man and asteroids and things like that. And it was very repetitive, 8-bit style, just MIDI music, right? Um, my grandfather had a air piano organ that had kind of a sketchy power adapter to it. The actual power controller, the DC to AC, AC to DC power converter inside the actual, it was like a desktop or tabletop type piece of musical equipment, and the cord was kind of funky. I always remember being super excited to be able to like borrow that for the weekend or the week, and me and my younger brothers would just kind of jam on it, My dad might like pick up the little 6 string acoustic and jam some stuff, and we would just sing and have a good time, right? The more that I aged, the more that I got introduced to things. So I grew up in upstate New York, so there was a lot of influence not only from the new wave synth 80s style pop that was coming out at the day, but also the influence of early hip hop um, or rap, which kind of like eventually turned into hip hop. So things such as Run DMC, Grandmaster Flash, even the Beastie Boys, right? Back at that time when I was just a little kid, those were the things that I were exploring and getting into. And there was a tape of Two Live Crew kind of flying around, so I did get in some Miami bass sound, right, which kind of like opened me into this drum and bass type style of music. So it was really, really fun, and there was a lot of things and a lot of experimentation going on at the time. So I eventually, kind of grew up. I started picking up playing saxophone. I don't know. I was like probably third or fourth grade. Hot cross buns, right? Just over and over and over again. I think my stepmom hated hot cross buns, but you know, I would bang around on, the buckets, pick up buckets and bang them with sticks and stuff like that. Always try to come up with rhythms and things. I think that's very common across all children from all cultures. So I think that's like a universal thing. Um, as I got older into middle school, obviously I started noticing um, what I was attracted to from like a female perspective, right? Started having dances and this was like the height of hair metal and hair bands and like Motley Crue and Poison and stuff like that. Um, at the same time, I took a big interest into a lot of metal, Metallica, Megadeth, Sabbath, Ozzy, ACDC. Well, ACDC is kind of more hard rock, but you get my drift. And I continued playing guitar, practicing on guitar, messing around on the keyboards, started fooling around with drums, etc. Started fooling around with bass guitar. I ended up going to a high school down in Key West, um, and for a couple years, and I joined the jazz ensemble. I didn't play guitar because there was a student there that kind of had first dibs on that, and that was cool. But it did open me to kind of an opportunity to do a lot of percussion and learn a lot more about drums and kind of the way, just the natural flows within our mind. So that was all cool. Um, as I grew up and got older, I've been in various different bands, all the way from high school playing like school dances and like fire hall fundraisers, etc. All the way kind of towards the more recent years. Um, Probably, I'll just kind of fast forward a little bit. There was a time that I basically started to record and get more into that. One of the first recordings that I had did was kind of with a musical collaboration group called Damaged Heroes. And there was a song Out of the Shadows that was kind of about a struggle of cocaine and alcohol dependency and like kind of overcoming that. Then I kind of dipped back into and there was a lot of stuff in and out between that, etc. Um, but I kind of took probably about 5 or 6 years ago a little bit of a direction towards more electronical music. I released a Snowstorm album probably, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago. It was kind of like my first real attempt. Um, some of the stuff I still like, some of it, I'm not as proud of. As the City White name, I also did Escape from the Firmament. This was more as towards a drum and bass. So it was really kind of like, just like right in the pocket type thing. I then went on to do this kind of like what I considered in an electronic music realm under that umbrella of City White, kind of the magnum opus, right? So I called this Cloud on Gaku, and that was kind of a more away from kind of just. I started to delve into just kind of longer sets and longer songs, etc. So it has a little bit different feel. Then I started to work on Dirty Motels. Dirty Motels was an album that had lyrics. So for this particular album, kind of what my idea was is that I would kind of create these underlying tracks. Before this, I'd met up with a rapper named Big Red out of New Jersey, and I started laying down some tracks that he would rap over. Sadly, that person overdosed from heroin and passed away. But nonetheless, I quit. I just stopped the album because mostly it was going to be a feature um, for Big Red from New Jersey. But there was a couple of other tracks that I had, some female artists that I did collaboration with. So it really was kind of only released with 2 songs. Now I have some other stuff that I am still debating on whether to release or not. Now after that, so with my current uh, um, hot mama, as you would say, we together do a lot of experimental music, and our group is called Luxem Tenebra, and we have our first album called Riptide. It's out. This is a lot of stuff that's strictly on Korg and Roland equipment, and the lyrics, except for one song, are written by my princess. I got one song credit on that one, but all the music and performance instruments and everything are live by me. After that, I mean, we're Luxem is still going, and we're still creating things and moving forward. But I kind of took a sideline last year. I created an album under the name Surreal. The first off of that was Clue the 13th Claw. And this album was kind of more of a concept album. And also, as I started getting more into film direction and design, etc., this is kind of the first album that had videos behind it. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, here we go. Hope you enjoy, and get ready for episode 2, where we're going to go through an actual real live electronic instrument setup with the Rolands. I'm just going to give you a little peek towards kind of what it takes to just make a track. And then the final segment of that video will be the actual track that I come up with based on that configuration and settings. So, hope you have a great day, and we'll see you on the flip. Thanks.